I'm excited that you're here at my channel. We're going to create some mixed media Christmas cards today, giving our viewers a chance to discover some amazing other crafty card makers. So we're going to get right into it right away. So to get started, we're going to do a little bit of monoprinting, and you can see here I've got some random paints by some various companies. All the supplies are listed below, and just kind of spreading it around. I've got some really bright paints, a little bit of soft muted paints, and just kind of creating a fun little palette. I like to use 2 gel presses when I'm doing this, and the reason why is I can kind of get rid of all that excess paint on the one to the left. And ironically, even though the one on the right has all that good juicy paint there for our backgrounds, the one on the left is actually the main one that I ended up using. Go figure. It was kind of the leftover paint. But you can see here I'm just making sure that I get a good grip there and just quickly pulling that up because I knew there wasn't much there, so I wanted that to quickly come up. This one I was letting sit for a tiny bit longer, but look at how beautiful that is. Very abstract and cool background to go ahead and make some cards. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a couple others, and I actually, sitting in this session, made I think almost 15 prints. I don't show it all on this video. I'll probably put up a couple more videos after this showing some of the other ones, but it's amazing how quickly you can create some really cool backgrounds for your holiday cards. The one thing when you're making monoprint backgrounds is you want to make sure that you're using some heavy body paint. You see I have a little bit of liquid paint as well, but still, you know, it's the heavy body paint that really you have the most success with. I like to kind of mix it up a little bit. You can see I have all different kinds of paint here. Student grade, artist grade, a little bit of everything. And I just really go by color and what I'm really loving. I love to mix the backgrounds, as you see here, kind of creating that ombre effect. It is a very cool look, and definitely keep your brayer kind of going and blending. You don't want to overdo it because eventually your brayer is going to end up pulling up all your paint. So once you have the look that you're kind of going for, make sure to start laying down your paper. You want to work relatively quickly so that you can get 1, 2, or even 3 pulls. A lot of times the second and third pull are actually my favorites, but it's really fun to kind of build up some layers. So I've kind of created a couple of looks here and just quickly popping down that paper and going to pull up some very cool prints. These are great backgrounds, and depending on how fast you work, there's one that I had a couple little pieces on the plate, so you can see I have some white spots, but that's okay. It's just character added to it, right? And then depending on how fast you work and how fast or how little paint you actually have, because the less paint you have, the faster it dries. You can see here it didn't all quite pull up, and I'm just kind of moving my paper around trying to pick up as much as I can. If I have paint left over on the plate, that's fine. I love to build layers. That's kind of like some excess that you can just kind of leave there and pull up. It creates some interesting backgrounds. And believe it or not, that kind of Swiss cheese piece of paper, all the paint that was missing, we're going to use that. We're going to use, it's funny, the 2 that are not the prime prints are the ones that we're actually going to make our cards with. Kind of cool, huh? I love that. So I have this great stencil by Stamplerations, and it's just this fun little kind of Scandinavian looking tree. And I have a little makeup sponge here, and I'm going to take the same paint. So I've got this Delusions olive green. Actually, I think this is called Dirty Martini. It's an awesome color. Kind of a real dirty olive color, but it's still a little bright, which is why I like it. So I'm just kind of pouncing through my stencil and just going to kind of bring those trees on top. You want to remember that when you're doing a monoprint, it's paint on a page, so it resists an awful lot, but something that does accept is more paint. So I'm just going to lift this and I'm going to line up my trees, and I'm going to speed up little bits and pieces throughout the video, and I'm going to line up my trees and pounce and stencil a little bit more. So as this is speeding up, I just wanted to tell you that I am also giving away a prize here on my channel. So in order to be eligible for it, I want you to leave me a comment and tell me if you've ever tried mixed media before, if you've ever dabbled. And you know, mixed media doesn't have to be crazy over the top mixed media. It could be simple, clean, and simple mixed media like we're doing today. But I'd love to know if you've ever tried it. And if you haven't, that's okay. You think you might want to after watching this video? I'd love to know. So I've squeezed out a little bit of not burnt umber, actually raw umber, which is one of my favorite shades of brown. It's very, very deep and dark, kind of like an espresso look. Added a little water there and just kind of adding some splatters to this, and that's just that little something, you know, that has in the background. Now here's another plate that I had done a mix of paints on. You have seen me do that, so you didn't need to see me roll that out. And I added this very cool stencil onto it, and this is a Stencil Girl stencil. And I'm taking that other kind of Swiss cheese background, you remember that background? And I'm removing the positive part of the stencil, the holes, the part like if you were to ink blend that you would see your actual pattern. And look at that, very cool layered design. So I'm going to actually just kind of layer this and create that pattern over this entire plate. And I ended up taking that pull and doing that on for some other cards. I have more backgrounds ready to go. Once I've got the rest of this all done, you can see that you can pull once this is all complete. Then you can actually either take a pull if you've worked relatively quickly, or you would let that dry and add a little bit more paint and then pull everything up at once. So I'm jumping ahead here, and you can see that I've got some other prints that I've created. And I wanted to show you that I took this very cool reindeer stencil. Again, this is one from Stamplerations. And I love these little stencils. And what's cool about their products is they actually also give you the masks when you have this. So I have the masks as well to use, which is nice because it's two products in one. I love it when companies do that. So I just kind of squeezed a little bit of paint there onto my gel plate and went ahead and just kind of pounced it through. And you can see that I'm actually just going to have this one reindeer design. And this makes it really, really easy to now take one of those prints that we have, and this is that other one with the kind of Nordic trees on it, and I'm just going to lay that down and then just pull up, and you can see here I just flipped it over so that you could see, just pull up just that one deer. How cool is that, right? So there's a card background right there, very quick, very easy, and you've layered some very cool items. So I'm going to go ahead and do that several times now for various backgrounds. And you can see how very quick you can kind of mass produce cards. That's what I love about working with gel plates and acrylics. You know, it's nice because they're one layer. It's very cost effective. You don't have extra bulk when you're mailing all your holiday cards or any cards for that matter. And it's just a very, very cool design. And the recipient is going to end up going, wow, how did you do that? And here you see it on another background that I have. Very cool look. So now that we've got that all done, and we're going to kind of move on to another background that we've created. Remember when we layered those kind of holly berries onto that other kind of Swiss, I keep calling it Swiss cheese because I don't know what else to call it, that other background. We're going to add some trees, but we're going to do it in a different way. So you can see I just kind of braided out a little bit of the raw umber, and I'm just going to kind of wipe away some of that excess because I don't want that getting on my project as well. And once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and remove those positive prints like we did to get the other holly design. So I'm going to have kind of that raw umber going over that bright kind of olive green and the Swiss cheese background. And look at that. It's very cool, right? I really love how that turned out. I ended up actually using that for the very top, the piece that's left, the negative space. I don't really show it here, or maybe I do actually. Sorry about that. And it's a very cool grungy look, and I'm going to use that for some other cards. You're not going to see that today, but you know, you can use everything. And that right there will make a great masculine card. I ended up having a part of a monoprint that's really bright red, and I had a little bit of orange in it and some grunge at the edges. And I took 3 dies and just kind of cut those out using my Big Shot here by Sizzix. And once I had that, I went ahead and added those to my projects. One of them I ended up die cutting a white background out of some Catherine Pooler cardstock. I love her cardstock. Her cardstock is fabulous. But look at all that grunge that I had left on that one, different colored paints. It almost looks like snow. These are just so cool. And I have to tell you, because the texture and the character that you can create with a gel plate and some paint is very different than using ink. So I encourage you to give it a shot. And you can see here just really kind of keeping these simple and straightforward. There's the one that I was talking about. And here are some close-ups. You don't need to see me put sequins on. Did a little bit of embossing on one. I did a little embossing on another. Kept a couple really straightforward. A couple I added some great sequins. And I really love it. I did use some Wow embossing powder. I have the gold sparkle there and the bark on the other. And you can see those little splatters and a couple sequins is really all you need. You really don't need a whole lot. The print itself is the magic.